The boy I took in had one possession, a sun-faded photograph he guarded like a passport. Every night he stared at it, as if it were the only doorway home. 2 weeks later, my sister saw that picture and went white. "I know her," she whispered. "She didn't abandon him. She disappeared." Hey, it's Owen. Today's story is about a foster teen's worn photograph, a missing mother no one thought to look for, and how love can rebuild a family in a different shape than we imagined. I was 36, a middle school science teacher in Portland, Maine, still getting used to the quiet after losing my wife, Mara, to a sudden arrhythmia. Grief had turned sound into fog. I'd stayed late at school because the lab smelled like citrus cleanser and certainty measuring cylinders. Exact lines, right answers. A friend in social services asked if I'd consider fostering an older kid. The case file was thin. Eli Torres, 15, transfers a lot. No current placement. One photo of his mother. The note about the photo made me stop. Sometimes grief recognizes its own shape. Eli arrived on a wet Tuesday with a black trash bag and a look that said he wasn't staying. Tall for 15, hair too long for the rules he'd lived under, knuckles red from Maine cold. The social worker introduced us in my narrow hallway, lined with plants Mara loved. Eli's eyes flickered to the spider plant, then to the kitchen, then to the door. Mapping exits. He kept the photograph tucked in a library book like a pressed leaf. In the picture, a young woman with sea-dark hair held a laughing toddler in front of a carousel by the harbor. The kind of joy that makes your ribs ache if you've been alone too long. "She's beautiful," I said. "You have her eyes." A shrug. "She left when I was 4, he said, voice flat, practiced. "I keep this so I remember what I did wrong." That sentence broke something quiet inside me. "Maybe you didn't do anything wrong," I said. He didn't answer. He put the photo back like a fragile relic and went upstairs to the room I'd spent a weekend painting a color called Sleep Tide. Eli lived in the margins at first. Polite, minimal words, dishes rinsed, homework done, alarms set. He hovered around the edges of my routines, as if they were train tracks he refused to stand on. The only rule he bent was the one he made for himself. The photograph had to be within arm's reach, on the nightstand, in his pocket, under his pillow. 3 weeks in, I heard his dresser drawers empty onto the floor and found him tearing through a stack of hoodies, panic rising like smoke. "It's gone," he said, voice shaking. "It's gone." We found the picture wedged between the mattress and the wall. He sat on the carpet and held it with both hands, knuckles white. "If I lose this, it's like I lose her again." That night his story threaded out. Not a monologue, more like small stitches. Saturday pancakes cut into stars. Vanilla lotion, always faint. A song hummed during baths that he could almost remember, but not quite. And the day the humming stopped. I didn't push. I learned he hated loud doors, liked lemon seltzer, soldered electronics with the kind of care people reserve for keepsakes. I put him on my car insurance as an authorized driver for the future, and didn't tell him. Some promises need to exist before they're used. At school, he wasn't a problem. He was a perimeter. His English teacher emailed me a line that made me smile. Eli submitted a lab report-level essay about the Iliad. He had ancient grief energy. He also had a bus schedule folded into his wallet that didn't match our neighborhood routes. When I asked about it, he looked away. Sometimes I ride to the station and read the flyers near the missing persons board. His voice thinned. Projects. The suspension came on a Friday, not for fighting, but for what the principal called unauthorized absence. Eli skipped last period to bring a space heater to a stray cat curled under the bleachers. He told me only when I asked. "Didn't want it to freeze," he said. In the parking lot, he waited for the script he knew. "Pack your bag. You're moving again." I put the car in park and turned to face him. "You live here," I said. "We fix things here." He swallowed hard. "Until I mess up." "You already did," I deadpanned. "You cared about something. That's not a mess." His mouth twitched. He looked at the dashboard like it had secrets. The word that came next wasn't a question so much as a test. "Home?" he said. "If you want it," I said. "And if you want it to be permanent, we can talk adoption when you're ready." He stared straight ahead, long enough for the defroster to clear a porthole on the windshield. "I'd want that," he said, voice small. "A lot." 2 weeks later, my sister, Naomi, rolled into town with a trunk full of reusable grocery bags and a paramedic's habit of scanning a room for the nearest AED. She hugged me too long and then turned all that warm attention toward Eli, who flinched, then thawed, then asked curious questions about ambulance calls the way kids test a bridge before crossing. After dinner, I went upstairs to ask if Eli would show Naomi the photograph. He considered, weighed my ask, then nodded once. He handed me the picture like you'd pass someone a lit candle and I carried it down. Naomi glanced, then leaned closer, the air changing around her. Color drained. Hands shook so suddenly it scared me. "I know her," she whispered. "Owen, I know her." The room felt off kilter. "From college," she said. Name was Marisa Vale back then. We were inseparable. Library, lake, midnight pancakes. She wanted to be a music therapist for kids. And then senior year, she unraveled panic, paranoia. After graduation, she moved back to help her grandmother, and our texts got strange. One night, she called from a payphone, crying that she'd done something terrible and had to disappear. I filed a report. Nothing. It's like she slipped between the boards. I sat down because the floor felt too far away. "Eli thinks she left because of him." Naomi's eyes flashed. "No. Marisa loved hard. If she left, she thought she was protecting him from whatever her mind told her was coming." We didn't sleep much. Naomi and I built a whiteboard on the fridge. Timeline, names, places. We didn't tell Eli right away. Truth is a blade, you choose when to cut the knot. In the morning, I made pancakes because ritual steadies news. I told him gently, "Naomi recognized your mom. She didn't walk away. She vanished." The word hung there. "You're lying," he said. Reflex first. Then he saw my sister's face, the way her hands shook around a ceramic mug. Hope and terror collided behind his ribs. "If she didn't leave me, where did she go?" "We don't know," I said, "but we can look." He ran his thumb along the photo's edge until he found the crease he'd traced 1,000 nights, and then something new. "There's writing," he said, a number scribbled in faint pencil along the white border. Naomi squinted. "That looks like a library card barcode," she said. "Old style. A clue." For once, something that felt like physics. If A, then maybe B. We started with public records, the way you start a road trip with a map you know is outdated. I took evenings off. Naomi worked the phones like triage. We hit shelters, clinics, libraries. At the Sea Glass shelter on the coast, a volunteer remembered a woman who played piano for the children years ago. "Vanilla perfume," the volunteer said, and Eli's head bowed like a prayer answered. But the records ended there. A week later, Naomi found a scanned intake form from a free clinic in Maple Ridge name listed as M. Vale, age close enough, no ID, presenting with postpartum symptoms complicated by psychosis. The form was old. The number for follow-up was newer. Naomi called and made a sound I'd only heard from her once before, the night we lost Mara. "We might have her," she mouthed, pressing the phone to her shoulder. "We might actually have her." Before we go deeper, if you're into real-life twists that turn hurt into healing, tap, like, and subscribe. It means more stories find the people who need them most. The clinic connected us to a residential program called Willow Harbor supervised apartments, therapy, meds management. A doctor there, gentle voice, cautious optimism, told us a resident named Marisa had stabilized in the past year after long, uneven years. She talks about a little boy, the doctor said. No one knew he was real. We set a visit for Saturday, timed to her best hours. The drive west felt like crossing a bridge that might or might not be finished on the other side. Eli held the photo the whole way and practiced what he might say. Every few miles he asked the same question. What if she doesn't know me? Naomi reached from the back seat and squeezed his shoulder. Then we'll help her remember, she said. Memory isn't just facts, it's music. Willow Harbor didn't look like the stories people tell to scare each other. It was sun-warmed brick, raised beds for herbs, a piano in the corner of the common room. A woman sat near the window, hair shorter now, silver at the temples, that kind of careful posture people have when they've learned the hard way to hold themselves together. She looked up, looked at Eli. The world narrowed to the sound of a breath taken in and not let go. She stood, slow, like you stand on a boat, unsure of the next wave. Eli, she said, voice breaking on his name the way ocean breaks on rock. My Eli? He couldn't speak. He nodded, and the motion folded him in half. She reached him and stopped, as if asking a question without words. He stepped forward and they met in the middle. I never stopped wanting you, she whispered into his hair. I was sick. I thought I had to stay away to keep you safe. I counted days. Then I lost track of years. He put the photograph in her hand, and she laughed, a sound like a remembered melody. Your pancakes were dinosaur shapes, she said. He choked out a laugh sob. You remember. I remember everything, she said. Music helps. 2 hours passed, the way good hours do, so full they feel longer. Marisa talked about the fog and the meds that cleared it, about years that feel missing from the inside, about counting her steps, because counting was proof she was here. When it was time to let the day end, Eli asked the practical question. Can we come back? The program director smiled. We'll make a schedule. Marisa looked at me then, properly, past the blur of tears. Thank you for loving my boy, she said. I shook my head. Gratitude older than words crowded my throat. He made it easy, I said. We drove home in a hush, stitched with small sounds, Naomi's soft humming, Eli folding the seatbelt webbing into ship-shaped lines. She's different, he said finally. She is, I said. How do you feel? Sad, he said. Relieved. He looked out at the dark line of pines. I thought she left because I wasn't enough, knowing she was lost. Changes the story. Weeks developed their own rhythm. Saturday mornings meant coffee for me, harmonica lessons for Eli because Marisa wanted music in his hands. She said it builds bridges. He told her about school, about soloing a broken radio back to life. She showed him how to play the opening bars of a lullaby she used to hum. He recorded it on his phone, the way people catch lightning in jars. On harder days, her words slowed. He learned to sit through silence. I'm here, he'd say. We can just be. 6 months after that first visit, a judge signed papers that changed nothing essential and everything official. Adoption Day. Marisa sat in the front row in a thrift store dress, hair pinned back, the photograph tucked into her program like a talisman. When the judge asked Eli to speak, he cleared his throat. Family isn't just who raises you, he said. It's who shows up. The bailiff wiped his eyes. So did I. On the courthouse steps, Marisa hugged us both. I can't be the mom who packs lunches, she said. But I can be the mom who plays the song. That's enough, Eli said. That's more than enough. A year later, Marisa moved into a semi-independent unit with a kitchenette and a plant she named Clementine. Eli helped string fairy lights and hung the photograph above the piano they rolled in from the common room. On the nightstand, next to pill organizers and a metronome, he placed a new frame with 3 faces pressed together, and a 4th, Naomi, photobombing from behind a stack of sheet music. Eli is 17 now. Honor roll, a job at a repair shop where he coaxes dead speakers to sing again, a girlfriend named Mira who brings dog-eared books and asks the right questions. He visits Marisa on Wednesdays and Sundays. Some weeks they talk in full sentences. Some weeks they play scales and eat oranges in segments, quiet and bright. If you ask him what changed, he won't say adoption, though that mattered. He'll say the story, because the difference between she left me and she was lost is the difference between a locked door and a door that sticks but opens if you shoulder it gently. I still teach 7th graders the laws of motion, but there's a different kind of science at home now. Observation without judgment, repeatable rituals, proof measured in photos on the fridge. The worn picture that once sat alone is surrounded by new ones. Birthday candles, midwinter beach walks, a blurry shot of Marisa's hand on piano keys, Eli's hand on top of hers. Families aren't only built by blood or paper. Sometimes they're built by the radical decision to keep showing up through fog, through fear, through the long middle, where nothing looks cinematic and everything is work. If you're in that middle, keep going. The door sticks. It opens. And if you ever meet a kid who clutches a photograph like it's oxygen, believe him. Sometimes the thing he's holding isn't the past. It's the map.